What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome into the Thomas Mott Show on a Tuesday, giving you guys the latest in terms of Philadelphia and also, of course, the rest of the National Football League. How did the Dallas Cowboys win last night? Quarterback controversy could be brewing there. Not really, but the NFC East is fascinating right now. We'll get into that in our national story of the day at the end of the video, as we always do. But there are new, let's just say, articles coming out talking about a Jalen Hurts contract extension. How much is he actually worth? How quickly could they do it? Do you want to do it sooner? You want to wait a little bit? We'll talk about that. And then, of course, my one big problem, or maybe my one big concern with the Eagles right now. I was thinking about this yesterday. I went, what's the biggest problem with Philadelphia right now? Because all you see in the national media is 3-0, Jalen Hurts is balling out, we love Nick Sirianni, the defense got 9 sacks, they're the best team in the NFC, and those things might all be true, but every single team has a weakness, every single team has an issue, and I'm not trying to be a glass half empty or a big pessimist today, but let's be honest with ourselves. We're going to get honest today here on the Thomas Mott Show and really try and figure out what is their one flaw. I have an idea, and I want to see what you guys think about it here. So we go ahead and get going. Just one second, though. First, the channel and really the show, which has just been fantastic, has been growing at a crazy rate right now. I appreciate that. What would help the channel grow and the show grow even more is thumbs up. YouTube loves thumbs up for some reason. So if you watch the video, you just hit the little thumbs up button and you enjoyed it, I would appreciate that. And if you watch till the end as well, apparently YouTube likes that too. So if you want the channel to grow and you want the show to grow, those are the two big ways to go ahead and do it. So thumbs up and watch until the end if you enjoy the content. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the contract extension, because there's a new article here from BleedingGreenNation that, talks about kind of some of the big news stories of the day, and they go to a Philadelphia Inquirer article mentioning the fact that a Jalen Hurts contract extension is going to have to be in the works here pretty darn soon, and it's just hard to kind of figure out when and how much. We're going to try to do it today for you guys here. First, let's just read the article, throw it up on your screen. Quote, the only question, however significant, was whether he could improve as a pocket passer. That's Jalen Hurts, okay? And it's obvious in so many of the throws he has made so far that he has. Has he been perfect? Not by a long shot, but the trajectory of his progress suggests he'll become even more consistent. His pre-snap reads, mechanics, and ball placement are all better. Owner Jeffrey Lurie and general manager Howie Roseman are very much attuned to quarterback play. And while Nick Sirianni is bogged down in the daily operations of coaching, they are certainly starting to formulate a plan for giving Hurts an extension early. The Eagles have long benefited in getting out in front. Have there been mistakes? All they had to do was look across the field at the Commanders' quarterback Carson Wentz to be reminded that they haven't always been right, but their track record has produced more wins than losses. Of course, BleedingGreenNation noted that Hurts is eligible for an extension after this year, end quote. So he's not eligible for an extension really tomorrow. You got to kind of wait until the season gets a little bit further on, but you could find a way to put the preliminary pieces in place to give him an extension sooner rather than later. Now, the big quarterback that is compared, of course, to Jalen Hurts right now, both on the field play and then, of course, from a monetary standpoint, is Lamar Jackson. And while they are, to me, very different, Jackson is an established superstar in the National Football League. Jalen Hurts is trying to become an established superstar in the National Football League. You have to take the Lamar Jackson model into play. I think Baltimore is grossly mishandling the Lamar Jackson situation. They should have paid him a long time ago. Now, from a managerial standpoint, I get the whole fear of paying Lamar Jackson. One, he runs a lot. He's not exactly as safe as a runner as I would say Jalen Hurts is. Hurts is a pretty safe runner. He doesn't take a lot of big shots. He does get hit, but he doesn't take a lot of big shots. Lamar does take some big shots. And, of course, Lamar's, unproven track record in the postseason has led the Ravens to be a little bit hesitant. Now, that might be unwarranted, but now you have a scenario in Baltimore where they're essentially at a total standstill because they can't agree on money. And what the Ravens front office is trying to do is be fair to Lamar Jackson, make Lamar Jackson happy, but not fully cripple their franchise. Like, you got to understand, Lamar, holding out for $200 million guaranteed or $250 million guaranteed or more and more and more, the more he gets guaranteed, the less that they can go ahead and afford future wide receivers or future pass rushers or future linebackers. And I'm all for you getting your money. Like, if your boss came to you today and said, hey, listen, Jim, we need you to take a little bit of a pay cut, but it's for the team, right? It's for the office. You'd hate that. I mean, you'd be like, what is this place? I don't want to be here. But when it comes to winning the National Football League, you have to understand there's a thing called a Super Bowl window. There are some teams, like Philadelphia in 2017, that didn't luck their way to a Super Bowl, but were before their window and yet able to go ahead and overplay their current situation and go and win a Super Bowl. And that's possible. However, Philadelphia has built their roster top to bottom to enter into a Super Bowl window. And there are other teams like this. You can see right now the Chiefs are in a Super Bowl window and have been with Patrick Mahomes. You can say that the Bills are in a Super Bowl window with Josh Allen and will be for the next couple of years. You want your team to be in a Super Bowl window as long as possible. And unless your team has been the Patriots the past 20 years, who have had an unlimited Super Bowl window, every single team ebbs and flows. The Colts did it with Peyton Manning. The Broncos obviously did it with Peyton Manning as well. You can go back to team after team after team who have either had a 2-year window, a 3-year window, sometimes a 4-year window, but not much longer. And so Philadelphia is entering into a Super Bowl window that has started this year and could last for many years to come. I mean, this could be a Super Bowl window that goes for the next 3, 4, 5 years, especially if you give a good deal on Jalen Hurts. And so trying to figure out when to extend him and what price is going to be really, really tricky for this front office. But I think the sooner you do it, the less likely you are to have a Lamar Jackson situation. And if you believe in Jalen Hurts, that he's only going to keep doing this, which most of us do so far, he's done that every single game this year, you got to pay him quick. That way you can get a little bit of a deal. Not much, you don't want to cheat him out. You want to be fair, but a little bit of a deal. That way you can afford that future pass rusher. You can afford another wide receiver, Devontae Smith's extension, and so on and so forth. When it comes to money, it is interesting to try to figure out, right? So you go to the quarterback contracts right now. This is on overthecap.com, and there are some numbers that you would never want to, pass, but you got to get close to. So 50,000 is obviously out of the picture, right? That's Rodgers, whittling his way to a 2-year, $50 million a year. I said 50,000, $50 million a year average. Wilson at 49 is too much. But then you have this. You have Kyler, you have Deshaun, you have Mahomes, Allen, Carr, Stafford. Like, where is he going to go on this list? Now, if he were to win a Super Bowl this year, he goes to almost the very top of this list, probably right about there in between Kyler and Deshaun Watson. But let's just say he wins 11 games, he wins one playoff game, they lose in the divisional round. Where does he go? I think if you could get Jalen Hurts for under $45 million a year, it's an absolute steal. If you could put him right behind Josh Allen and ahead of Derek Carr at 42.5, you're sitting in a good spot. And again, that's assuming he's going to only get better and continue to progress into a star quarterback. If you have to pay over $45 million, you're paying a lot. I mean, that is a lot of money to go ahead and give to a quarterback. Remember, Dak Prescott right now is at $40 million a year. So 40 has to be the number, but anything over 45 to me, and you start to kind of worry about that Super Bowl window, and then you start losing out on really star players. Again, look what Green Bay did. Green Bay, they've had a Super Bowl window for a while. They obviously had to pay Aaron Rodgers more money, $50 million a year. Did that directly correlate to obviously losing Davante Adams? Maybe, maybe not. But Adams wanted to go for more money, and they missed Davante Adams. I mean, that offense is very much one-dimensional right now because Rodgers hates all of his receivers. So it gets to this cat and mouse game of trying to figure out what is best. But I will finish the Jalen Hurts thought by saying this. Hurts is a team player. Hurts is very much about winning right now. And I think Jalen Hurts, again, not to say that he needs to be gypped or needs to be cheated because he needs to get his money. I think he would be willing to listen to maybe more of an incentive-based contract based on wins, or just simply say, hey, put me at 43. That's more than Dak. That's right around where Deshaun Watson and Josh Allen make. I'm happy with that. Make sure we can win, though, with future prospects for the next 4 or 5 years, because the more Jalen Hurts wins, the more his brand is going to explode, not just from a NFL contract perspective, but all the deals that come with winning as an NFL quarterback, Nike and, all the food brands. You think about Dak Prescott with Oikos 000. I mean, these guys get millions and millions of extra dollars, not based on their contract. If Hurts keeps winning, he's going to go ahead and get his. Will it happen tomorrow? Probably not. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. I think it's going to happen next week. I think they're probably going to wait till the end of the year, but there is a risk with that. If they wait till the end of the year and Hurts wins a Super Bowl or even gets close, that price is going to be driven up, and then you get to that kind of shady $45+ million range. So it's a, it's a fluid process. It's a good problem to have. You'd much rather have this issue than not have a quarterback to pay, but overall, it is something that will become more and more of a story as we get closer and closer to, mid-season and the end of the year with the play that Hurts has. Okay, I want to move over here to me, the one big issue with Philadelphia. And again, I'm going to be honest, I'm trying not to be clickbaity here because there really is an issue with Philadelphia right now. So far, there hasn't been one. You can make the case, okay, maybe the second half of football games, they need to go ahead and score some points. I've seen that on Twitter a lot and on the comment section below the show. But there are plenty of reasons why they haven't scored in the second half. And sure, you would like to see that, but they haven't been tested. I mean, truly, in the second half, minus the Lions game, they haven't really been tested, and they already had 38 points in that game. And so you go through the list of things that are wrong with them, and it's very, very small. And I'm not even going to say this is something that's wrong with them, but it's my biggest concern. My biggest concern is the schedule, and I'll explain why. They don't have a test. There is no game over the next couple of weeks that genuinely should test them. Now, they could, be tested against the Jaguars. They could have, a tough time against Kyler Murray on the road. Dak will be back by week 6. We'll talk about that for Sunday Night Football. He could be tested there. Sure. any one of these games can test you. I mean, 18 games in the NFL so far have been decided by 3 points or less through the first 3 weeks. I mean, you can lose to anybody. This isn't Alabama versus, Louisiana Tech. You're not guaranteed to win anything. But I just want to see Philadelphia play a really good football team and win. Because the only real criticism right now is that they haven't beaten anybody good. Now, I would argue that the Vikings are a good football team. I would argue that Detroit is a good football team. I mean, both of them, beat up on each other yesterday, or Sunday. But I would argue they have played some good teams. But my one concern with this overall schedule is that they're going to blow teams out. They're going to get comfortable late in games, and then you're finally going to face somebody, whether that is Dak in Week 6 or whether that is, the Packers on November 27th, and be in a dogfight fourth quarter and not kind of have the experience to go ahead and win that football game. And it's nitpicking. It's not a big deal overall. You can only play who's in front of you, and honestly, you'd rather play an easy schedule than a hard schedule, right? You'd rather win more games than lose games. But if there was one concern for Philadelphia so far through a very early 3 games in an NFL season, it's the fact that they are probably not going to be tested for a while. Now, I might eat these words. They might lose to Jacksonville on Sunday, which is, a possibility. That could actually happen. But if they continue to roll and they get to 5-0 and 6-0, and then you get to the bye, and then 7-0, and then the Texans 8-0, and then Commanders. I mean, you could see a launching platform for winning a bunch of games. There might be a scenario where you hope that there is a little bit of adversity, not from a bunch of losses standpoint, but from a bunch of close game standpoint. That way this team is battle-tested and ready for what will be a tough playoff game, whether you go to Green Bay or whether you have Tom Brady come to your town or whether you play Dak Prescott or, the 49ers and a hot Jimmy G, if that's possible. That would be my one concern right now for Philadelphia. But in the end, I don't want to see a bunch of comments saying, Thomas, don't be a hater. I'm not. I'm so excited right now about the Philadelphia Eagles and about where we're at in the NFC that I just don't want to just be 100% blind to the idea that the Eagles are going to have some struggles this year, and we got to wait and see what those are going to go ahead and be. Is there a concern right now? Some people say the running game in terms of the running backs not being explosive. I've seen down in the comment section, but let me know. I mean, I'm curious where you guys are at. I know we're all pumped and excited, and trust me, I am. I mean, I really, really am. But I am curious where everyone is feeling in terms of Philadelphia. Okay, national stories. Let's just go ahead and jump into. Again, it's a national story because it's the NFC, it's the Cowboys, but it's more the NFC East overall and how it affects Philadelphia. Dallas won last night, and that was shocking. I mean, Cooper Rush has played very, very well. He's 3-0 so far in his first 3 starts. I think the first backup quarterback to do that in the National Football League history. I told you guys to root for the Giants, and you needed to root for the Giants because this was my big concern with the Dallas Cowboys, is that they were going to stay afloat. Dak was going to come back, and there's reports, he told Lisa Salters on Monday Night Football he could come back next week against the Commanders. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Rams or Eagles in Week 6 makes a lot more sense. But the concern is that Dallas stays afloat and then gets a little bit of a rhythm. And that's been something I've seen on Twitter. And you can follow me at RealThomasMott over the past couple of days, especially after the win last night. I told you guys the Giants weren't legit. The Giants have 2 stars, right? Well, the Giants have 2 weapons on offense. Daniel Jones' legs, because he's a very good runner, surprisingly, and Saquon Barkley. And that's it. They don't have good receivers. Their defense is very lackluster. The offensive line is nothing special. They're not a threat right now in the NFC, in terms of at least the NFC East. Dallas is the real threat in the NFC East. However, I will go glass half full here and give you guys a little bit of hope. I know it's a national story, but we tie back into Philadelphia. Look at the schedule for Dallas. It's brutal. This is what a first-place schedule does to you. So whenever Dak comes back, you could see the Commanders next week, and that's pretty much a must-win for the Commanders right now, 4 weeks into the season. I think Commanders got to win that one. Then you're at L.A. That's a tough one. At Philadelphia Sunday night. We already told you the Lions are not someone that you can just, push over. Your break is the Bears on the 30th. That's your real break. Then you're at Packers, at Vikings, divisional game, Colts, break against the Texans, Jaguars, who'd be competing for a playoff spot, Philadelphia again, at the Titans, and at the Commanders. This is a brutal schedule. And again, the good news is that it's this hard that no matter who's playing quarterback, they should still struggle to win 9 games. But my big fear last night did come true, and that Cooper Rush looks like a decent backup quarterback, and credit to that football team, Mike McCarthy, getting him ready to play, that they're going to stay afloat and be kind of a thorn in our side as the season continues to go ahead and roll on. But the NFC East as a whole, to me, is not... It's not that scary. I mean, again, Dallas 2-1. The Giants to me are very much a 7-win football team max. The same thing goes for the Commanders. I think right now Philadelphia is looking very, very good overall. Finally, we'll wrap up our national story today with power rankings. We always like to see what the NFL.com has. I like power rankings. You guys know that. Let's scroll down here and see where Philadelphia and the rest of the teams are ranked. How about that? Number 1, NFL.com has Philadelphia as the number 1 football team in the National Football League. And honestly, I can't disagree with it, right? I mean, big green wrecking machine right now. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles' offense have been showing out since the season opener in Detroit, but now Nick Sirianni's defense has announced its arrival with a dominant 9-sack performance against the Commanders and old friend Carson Wentz. What's the most pressing problem for the undefeated Eagles? Devontae Smith was so dominant on Sunday, it calls into question whether A.J. Brown is the team's true number one. How dumb is that sentence? Really? You think A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are upset that the other player is playing well? And didn't A.J. Brown have like 85 yards and a touchdown? It's funny how national people talk about Philadelphia. It's just always funny. Philly won, though, in the rankings. Buffalo, 2. I'm fine with that. To me, the Dolphins got a little lucky. Josh Allen bounced that fourth down pass, what would have been an open throw. It was super humid and hot. I think the next time they play in Buffalo will get that one. Miami, though, undefeated. They beat Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Give credit where credit is due. They should be at 3. I'm fine with that. Packers at 4. The defense is really good. The offense, to me, is a nightmare. The Chiefs' egg against the Colts was shocking. I don't understand that one. It didn't make any sense. The Colts had looked terrible the past couple of weeks. I know they're saying they missed Tyreek Hill. I don't know if they do. I just don't know if that offense is as scary as it's been in the past without Tyreek Hill. I mean, come on. Rams at 6. The Rams are weird, man, and they have a lot of issues on the offensive line. I have no idea what the Rams are. Honestly, I have no clue. Baltimore in the top 10 is fine. Tampa's defense is worthy of the 8th spot, although they need to get receivers back because they have no one to throw to. Minnesota is 9, Bengals at 10, they're going to rise up, and I do think the Niners dropping out of the top 10 is very fair just due to the fact that right now, I mean, that loss at Denver didn't look very good, and I like Garoppolo. I told you guys in a video, or in a show just the other day that I think Garoppolo looks pretty good and could be a savior, but they didn't look good against Denver on Sunday night. There you go. It's fun to jump on here and kind of mix things up, right? Philadelphia, as always, we guys know that I'm a green guy through and through, but to get to the national stories as well, it's fun to look at how it ties into Philadelphia, how it affects Philadelphia, and we try to do that, or I try to do that here on the Thomas Mott Show every single day. Plenty more content coming up over the next couple of days and weeks here on the Thomas Mott Show, as we always try to give you guys content. I'm always going to try to think of new things to talk about. I always cover whatever is going on, keep you guys up to date. I will finish Jeez, excuse me, my bad. I will finish by saying I will be at Jaguars-Eagles, and I'm going to talk more about that tomorrow in terms of if you guys want to come say hi. I'll be in section M12, M13. I'm in the end zone. I'm going with my roommate Alex, who's a big Jaguars fan. I'm going to start the show tomorrow talking about that, and if you guys are going to the game, come say hi. Hit me up on Twitter, and we can, talk before the game, do a little tailgate. Who knows? I'll be in Philadelphia this weekend for the game, and so I'd love for you guys to go ahead and stop by. All of the, that's it for the show. That's all of the stuff going on in the world of the Philadelphia Eagles. I appreciate you. Hit that thumbs up button. Helps the show grow, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. See ya.